Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Crowd Chatter podcast. Today, we have a August review, or I guess more like still August. Reviewing the MLB. I've been delayed in getting this one out. It's been a bit busy for all of the group here, and so we haven't really been able to get much of anything out there um, early enough. I mean, last week when we did the football stuff, of course, which is in full swing, it took me a while to get some of those videos out. So I'm going to try and make that better. Um, anyways, let's get this started. Just before, well, actually, before I get this started, of course, we are in the middle of the football season, so we are in full swing for for our football segments. So anything involving the picks, mid-season stuff, all for NFL and college, is is gonna be out there um, for the foreseeable future. There's gonna be all kinds of new stuff. So it should be fun. I mean, I hope you guys enjoy that. We have we have more picks and reviews for the past for NCAA and the NFL this week as well. Of course, we are a big football group. We all watch college football and the NFL, and we both love it very much. We watch a lot of it. We dive into a lot of it. It is really what we all are here for. Um, our group, this group, of course, this podcast is very good with its knowledge on football. So obviously, this is our busiest time of the year, and as we also have college basketball, which is another busy time of the year for us. But let's get this started. I'm really the only one who does the MLB, except for Sam Ward, but he's not able to join me. Hopefully, you'll be seeing him on the podcast for one of these episodes. Well, let's get this started. We go to the American League, and we start with the team leading the AL East, who has been leading it since the beginning of the year, and that's the New York Yankees, leading at 85 and 56. The New York Yankees had an outstanding start to the season. We're looking incredibly good. Got Andrew Benintendi and Frankie Montas and Lou Trevino all at the trade deadline this past trade deadline, and they really have not really played well since then. It's been a struggle for them, really since that point. So they had such a great start, but they've really kind of just gone in and out, in and out. They've had some good stretches, but they had a lot of struggles really in August. And it just was not it was not good for the Yankees, but they seem to have sort of righted the ship again. Tampa Bay and Toronto are are much closer to them than what they were a long time ago. But the Yankees still lead this division, and honestly, they'll probably win the division. Sitting at second is the Tampa Bay Rays at 78 and 60, 5.5 games behind the New York Yankees. Tampa Bay Rays playoff team. Shane McClanahan, obviously, number one pitcher, very good pitcher. They have some good hitters as well. I mean, you got Randy Arozarena out there. Brandon Lowe, I don't think has done anything this year, but Randy Arozarena is really what heads this entire Tampa Bay team. A solid overall squad. I'm sure they'll compete with the wild card. They'll be in the wild card, I would think. And it should be interesting to see who Tampa Bay faces in the first round. Up next, we have the Toronto Blue Jays. I am going pretty fast through this. There's not really much to talk about on some of these teams. Like Tampa, there hasn't really been much of any action lately. But now we got the Toronto Blue Jays at 78 and 61, a half a game behind Tampa Bay. The Toronto Blue Jay team is an all offensive team. The defense, as well, you can obviously see, is not exactly been the greatest. Um, but this Toronto team, I mean, it's clear that they have offensive capability and that they are very much in play. I mean, this is a very good Toronto team. They have good pitching. It really is a matter of them playing it all together. This is another playoff team. This is a team that'll make the wild card, and if it catches fire, if the Blue Jays catch fire, look out the rest of the league, because not only does this team have a lot of talent, but if you have to go to Toronto and you're not vaccinated, you're going to have an issue. And that's really one of the reasons I don't want the Blue Jays in the playoffs, because it gives the Blue Jays an unfair advantage. If you haven't been vaccinated against COVID-19, you're not allowed to enter Canada. So those who, are not vaccinated are not allowed to be in Canada. So this for some of these teams, that would take out probably half of the team of which they have. So I think it gives the Blue Jays a unfair advantage, and that just kind of irritates me. Coming up next is the Baltimore Orioles at 73-67. 5.5 games behind Toronto. They're a bit far out of the wild card at this point. But this Baltimore team definitely has shown that they've made significant improvement. This team has a lot of developing players. It's a young team, and a lot of them have panned out. And so that's the big thing for Baltimore is getting their young guys to develop and perform. And they've overperformed this year by a considerable margin. So very impressive, I think, by the Baltimore Orioles here in this season. And really, honestly, they're still right in the middle of the playoff race. They're not exactly out of it. Games are winding down, but they're 4.5 games, I think, out right now, if I'm correct. So they're not entirely out of it, but it would be a longer shot for them. But this is still a good Baltimore team, and this is drastic improvement from a year ago. And then the last team in the division, we have the Boston Red Sox at 69-72. Not a great season for them. Their pitching kind of let them down, and they've really just not played well. Had obviously bad stretches, and it's really hurt them. And not the year for the Boston Red Sox. A unimpressive season for Bostonia. Uh, and I'm sure they wish that it was a bit better than that. So up next we have the AL Central, which has been a complete crapshoot this year. But currently leading the division is the Cleveland Guardians. I'm sorry, at 73-65. Still getting used to their new name. But Cleveland's currently leading the division. It's not been a great year for them, but they are definitely surprising people with currently leading the division at the moment. Like I said, it's kind of been a total crapshoot in this division, except for the bottom two teams. It's been pretty much anybody's game between the rest, and Cleveland has shown spurts of goodness and spurts of just, well, not goodness. So, this is still clearly anybody's division, no. Like I said, except for the bottom two teams. But anybody can still get it. Cleveland or the next two there all are in the race, and we'll see which one of these three comes up with this division. So we'll go to the second team here in this list, the Chicago White Sox at 72-69. This team has struggled really this year and has not played well pretty much all season long. They've been a major league disappointment. This was the team that was expected to run away with the AL Central to begin the season, and they not only haven't, but are currently losing it still to Cleveland. So we'll see if Chicago can pull it together and knock off Cleveland enough times to pull ahead for the lead. But this Chicago team, definitely a disappointing season, and they'll be looking to make a bounce back next year. And crazily enough, they still have a shot at a playoff appearance. Next, we have the Minnesota Twins at 69 and 70. This team was a surprise this year when it had such a great start and now has just completely fallen off a cliff. But this Minnesota team was looking really good, and it really looked like Minnesota would, compete for a playoff spot. They were in the lead of the Central for the majority of the season before they finally got taken over by Cleveland, and you can see they've going 2-8 in their last 10 games. Not a good stretch for Minnesota, and they'll definitely be hoping for much more improvement. Obviously, a big problem for Minnesota. Pitching's kind of been all over the place, and they also are now without Byron Buxton, who is their best hitter, but also their most often hurt player. So obviously, those are some issues for Minnesota. But if they can get something together and make a late run, this team is definitely still in the mix, still in the playoff race, and they're definitely not out of this thing yet. Next, we have the Kansas City Royals, who are obviously, I mean, they're not technically yet out of playoff contention, but you can essentially just count them out at this point. At 57 and 86, would be a miracle if they made it. But Kansas City, not a good team. Obviously, they have been tanking for a while. And they're working to get young. You got MJ Melendez, you got Vinny Pasquantino, you got I hope I'm saying that last name right. I don't really know how you say it. You got Bobby Witt Jr., of course, huge prospect there for Kansas City, hoping he turns out. But they got a lot of young guys, and they're hoping that those guys can pan out and make Kansas City, make the Royals the team that won the World Series however many years back. I think it was 2015, 7 years back. And then the last place team is our Detroit Tigers at 54 and 86. Big problem for the Tigers this year has been offense. The offense just has not been there. And you can see, obviously, we've given up actually less runs than the White Sox in terms of runs against. But the biggest problem for Detroit, as much as the pitching did struggle, I'm not going to blame the pitching, mostly because we had so many injuries in our pitching staff. And so you're throwing guys out there who had hardly really gotten any, major league experience. And so I'm not going to get mad at those guys for not having any experience and having to come in when they weren't really prepared for it. So I'm not necessarily surprised. I'm not surprised by that number, but the offensive number is a major league disappointment. When you have guys like Austin Meadows come in, barely played. I mean, we had a lot of injuries, but also there was just guys like Javi Baez who he just has not had the offensive season the Tigers were hoping for. Candelario and Jonathan Scope both flopped this year after having great years last season. Come into this year and just do nothing. I mean, there's a lot of disappointments, and Spencer Torkelson getting promoted and absolutely being terrible, and so it was, and Riley Green getting hurt before he even got to the majors. So a lot of bad luck for the Tigers, and also a lot of underperforming has led them to where they are now. Now, I think they obviously need a lot more offense to get themselves back into any contention ever again. But this Tiger team has obviously young players, young talent, but we really need to get healthy and really need to show that we can actually score points on the offensive end. I mean, we already have committed to trying to get better on the offensive end by spending big on Javi Baez, and considering we have as much money as we do, I'm hoping we go out and spend some more yet again, because we've already committed to that. It's like, well, if you already spent money here, why don't you just keep? I mean, there's no point in passing on another opportunity with so many great hitters out there. At least put yourself out there. That's my 2 cents on it. You can disagree or agree, do whatever you want. And up next, we have the AL West with the Houston Astros leading this division with an incredible record of 90 and 50. So obviously the Astros have been excuse me. The Astros have been unbelievable. I mean, this is an outstanding team, and Houston has shown that they have the offense and even the pitching to compete. I mean, they have been unstoppable this season and have played incredibly well. So I think Houston is very much in play for a World Series yet again, to the probably disdain of pretty much most of the MLB or MLB fans. But this is a very good Houston team. Expect this team to be dangerous in the playoffs. And next is another very dangerous playoff team, the Seattle Mariners at 79 and 61, 11 games behind Houston. They were making a run at the Astros for a little bit, trying to take the division from them. But, I mean, obviously, Houston just kept winning, so Seattle could never catch up. But this is a good Seattle team. You got, obviously, Julio Rodriguez on the squad. You also got other good hitters on the team. You got a decent pitching staff. Seattle has a solid team and has a solid squad, and this is definitely going to be a playoff team. And it's going to be a dangerous playoff team with some good pitching. I mean, Luis Castillo is now on the team, so you have a very good pitcher along with the young guys you already had being promoted, along with Julio Rodriguez, like I said, who got promoted this year and was absolutely fantastic. And you have other good hitters as well, like Ty France, and you know, the list goes on. So this Seattle team is very, very impressive, and has had a really good season. And I think, and they're definitely going to be an interesting team in the playoffs come this year. Now the next team we have the Texas Rangers at 61 and 79, 29 games behind Houston. This Texas team, well, how do we put this? Oh yeah, they are not good. They obviously spent a crap ton of money on a middle infield with getting Marcus Simeon and Corey Seager. That obviously did not really push the needle very far, as this team desperately still needs pitching, and honestly, maybe could use maybe a little bit more offense. Well, no, not more offense. They have the offense. They need pitching. So guys like Jack Leiter need to get going fast because they don't got any other pitching. But the Rangers, I mean, this team showed that they could score, but this team also showed that they could not stop anybody. So that's going to be a huge, I think, target for a huge stamp there for the Rangers. Something that they'll need to fix come next year, as I'm guaranteeing you they probably aren't making it to the playoffs. So next we have the LA Angels, also at 61 and 79. This Angels team, kind of same thing as the Rangers, except a little bit opposite. Lack of offense, well, except kind of more even. Lack of offense, lack of pitching. All they really have is Shohei Ohtani and often injured now Mike Trout. So, I mean, the Angels just need. I mean, and this team also has a terrible. This Angels team also has a terrible farm system. They never seem to really have young guys really turn out well. So we'll really see if the Angels can ever find success. But the Angels really need to figure out a farm system and figure out a way to get good players into the program, into the team, and into the system. Otherwise, they're going to have problems finding success for a long time. And well, next team is the Oakland A's at 51 and 90. What a surprise! They are absolutely awful. This is what happens when you trade away literally every single good player that you own to every single team. Not really a surprise to see them as low as they are. And that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Up next will be the National League, starting with the NL East. Until next time, adios, everyone.